Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Black Gentleman's Culture Premium Cigar and Spirits channel. Today we're out front with Arturo Feunte Opus X Oro Oscuro. This is 6 1/4 by 48 stick, and it is a Puro from wrapper, binder, and tobacco. Everything is Dominican Republic. That being said, let's get into it. Off of the body, you are gonna get a nice soapy smell, believe it or not. I say it's soap. Off of the foot, you're gonna get a sweetness coming off of it, but you're gonna get heavy hay. Off of the cold draw, you definitely get a sweetness like rum raisin. That's the best way to describe it. Now, on top of that, you get the hay, and you get a little bit of a pepper undertone. I think it's black pepper. I can't tell so far, but I'll let you know. Now, on top of that, you're gonna get, like I said, that cedar, but there is a earthiness to this. Now, the draw on this cigar is perfect. I said before, and I'm going to say it again. If I wanted to, I could use this cigar as a straw. That's how open this draw is. And today I put it with some Early Times bottled in bond. That being said, I'll see you at the first third. Okay, everyone. This is the first third with the Early Times bottled in bond. These two are pairing quite well so far. The bourbon is bringing out the undertones of this cigar. Now, you usually don't expect that because two strong things sometimes negate each other. But it is actually working. The bourbon is bringing out a nuttiness on your palate, while it's blending it with the caramel that you're going to get from the bourbon and the cigar. Them two combined is basically what's holding off a lot of the heavy, heavy pepper on the palate. Now, it is in there. You're definitely going to get that heavy pepper coming through on the retro-hale, but it's mixed with leather. So, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let these two work its way out of this weird situation I think it's in. And I'll let you know what's going on at the halfway point as far as giving it a pairing rating. Okay, everyone, we're down to that first third. And as you can see, this burn is everywhere. This is a rough burn going on. Now, that being said, the cigar itself, it starts off, they say it's supposed to be medium to strong. This is a strong cigar, period. It has strong spice, a spicy note. I don't know what it is, but it also has black pepper in it that comes through the retro-hale mixed with leather. Now, if you have a Stetson leather cowboy hat like myself, that's exactly what it smells like coming through the retro-hale. Now, that being said, the caramel that they say is in this only comes out with the bourbon, unfortunately. I believe due to the fact that the spiciness in the cigar, it lingers heavy on the palate. It never dissipates. So unless you got something to break it up, it's going to be a real hard time picking out some of these little undertones and notes. So definitely I would not recommend this cigar for a newbie because the flavor is intense. It's there, but you're going to take a beating on the palate unless you got something that's going to break it up and not interfere with it. Meaning, bring out the hidden notes in this and keep it to the point where it's not overpowered and it won't overpower what you're drinking. All right, folks, I'm going to see you at the halfway point, and I'm going to let you know how it's going. And we're back. We're at the halfway point with these two. Right now, I'm giving them both an 8 because these two are in a definite fight with your palate to take control. The cigar itself is extremely strong. I definitely wouldn't recommend this for a newbie. And the bourbon itself, I'm glad I have it neat because it's pulling out the spiciness that's left on the palate from the cigar. But it's replacing it with caramel and a light sweetness. And it actually magnifies the caramel that's in the cigar. And unfortunately for the cigar, the pepper and everything and the spiciness kinds of mutes it. So these two need each other. I wouldn't recommend this for something you do together before you eat. Main reason why, it will mess with what you're eating. I would recommend it honestly probably after your dinner and before dessert, because the sweetness won't interfere definitely with your dessert. That being said, I'm going to go ahead, get to the final third, and I'll let you know there's any other way I could put this other than this is a strong man cigar and drink when you put them together. Definitely not for that newbie. All right, folks. And we're at the halfway point. As you can see, that burn is trying to even itself out. It's down to that shag, aka kitty coaster. A big dip, but it's even itself out. Now, as far as this cigar goes, one thing I failed to mention in the beginning, because I thought it would dissipate, but it hasn't. The aromatics of this cigar is nutty. If you know what roast nuts smell like, that's exactly what you're getting off of the smoke that's coming off of the cigar when you're not puffing on it. Alrighty, now, as far as the flavor profile, everything remained the same except for, like I said, the nuttiness, but that cedar. The cedar is the star of this show. It's a underlying sweetness that just lingers about. So when you're smoking this, once you get past the heavy spiciness and that black pepper, you're rewarded with a sweet cedar that is starting to power its way through on the palate. Now, as you can see, it's a quite veiny cigar. It's even, like I said, the wrapper itself is toothy, meaning there is like a rough lip. That's Stetson. If you know what the Stetson cowboy hat feel like, that's exactly what this cigar feels like also. That being said, it is quite enjoyable. And right now, I'm giving this cigar a solid 8. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but it is a very solid cigar that you can enjoy. Newbies, no. Vets, yes, and you don't even need a drink, because you'll be able to pull the little nuances out, because like I said, they tend to work itself up the further along you smoke. That being said, I'll see you at the final third. Okay, everyone, we're down to this final third pairing. It's an 8. Basically, these two, like I said, they go together, but they never seem to cooperate completely. It's always, let me fight with you, let me fight with you. Well, we got this in common, and that's what you get. And what you get is that caramel flavor. And like I said, unfortunately, once you get that, you have to wait a couple of seconds, and then your palate rewards you with the undertone notes of the cigar. That's when you start to get the cedar. You start to get that leather, like I said, through the retro-hale. And you get it also on the palate a little. But one thing has picked up. The chocolate in the cigar is coming out a little bit more. I do believe it's because we're coming to an end. But it wasn't as strong and prevalent through the first two sections of the cigar. The first and the second, very, very faintly, but now you definitely get the chocolate sweetness, and it's on the lips, believe it or not. It's not heavy, but you can get that little bitty kiss of, like I said, chocolate. I'm giving these two, like I said, an 8 because this is something that will ruin your dinner, and it's best had right before dessert because the sweetness and the bourbon itself and the sweetness that comes through the cigar because of the bourbon will not mess up the flavoring of your dessert. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this. And like I said, I give these two both a solid 8. Okay, everyone, we're down to that final third. As you can see, after I removed the band, it's that soft kitty roller coaster burn. It's not razor sharp, but it's trying its best. And basically, that happens sometimes because I didn't think it was, but the band was still tight enough that it was slightly restricting the flow. Now, that being said, the cigar itself is a very strong, solid 8 by itself. This cigar has a lot of nuances to it. The flavor comes through. Like I said, the aromatics is roasted nuts and that leather. The retro-hale is leather mixed with spiciness. Now, there's also something else that has now worked its way out. As we got to the end, more of the chocolate note that they said was in the cigar has come through. It's on the lips, and it's not in the smoke or nothing. It's literally on my lips. Now, far as that spiciness that lingers, yes, it still lingers, but again, that is to be expected from a full body cigar that's strong. And this is definitely a strong cigar. This is not meant for no newbies. Now, will I recommend this cigar? Yes. Will I recommend it for the newbies out there? Nah, can't do that to them. But again, excuse me, this cigar is a very solid cigar. And I'm looking forward to getting more of Arturo Feunte cigars. I bought a box of, what was this? The 2023 Christmas Special. And this is October 25. So this has been sitting in my humidor for a long time. And I've smoked a couple of the other ones, but I still got one more before I smoked, what is it? It's a box of 10 and it's 2 of each. So I got one more that I haven't smoked that I definitely will be getting to. Now, that being said, you know what I say all the time. If you got a bunch of cigars, smoke them. If you got more than a bunch of cigars, share them and make some cigar heads. All right, folks, I'm going to see you on the next cigar. And again, to everyone who has subscribed, thank you very much. We're at 122. Hey, we're doing it natural, organic way. I'm not out here running around fighting for sponsors. I'm paying for everything. So all my reviews will be organic and my true opinion. There is no paying me off to say, well, this is what it is. No, I'm just a regular fan of the leaf who's sharing what he feels. All right, folks, I'll see you on the next cigar.